throughout a lot of the national media when it comes to basketball, there's this perception that Mikal Bridges is just your dime a dozen 3-and-D wing. But in the time that Devin Booker's been dealing with his yearly hamstring injury, Mikal has the room to operate as much more than just that 3-and-D wing. And he's taken this opportunity so far and grabbed it by the neck and not let go. So today we're going to dive into the film from the Detroit game, the second Golden State game, and the San Antonio game to see where that's showing up and whether it's sustainable or not. Okay, so for this first clip, we have the Suns in transition. Shamet's got the ball. Bridges is already out of the picture almost completely. You can see his left shoe up in that top left corner of the screen. And he's going to get the ball in transition, and I love his decision making on this. So right here, there are 3 different things that he can do. He's stopped, he's in transition. It's fine if he pulls up from 3 right here. Jeremy Grant's far enough off of him that he can, but he's also close enough that if Mikal wants to put on a little hesitation dribble, hang dribble move to the rim, that he could probably get that. He would have to get past Isaiah Stewart, but he can get past Grant, I think. But he doesn't choose to do either of those things. He stops, pulls it out, passes to Jay, gets the ball back. Crowder's going to screen Grant off of Mikal and get Mikal open for a pull-up. And it doesn't go in, but that's okay in this situation. Here it is over again. So on this next play, we're going to have Mikal working this sort of 2-man game with Ayton, where Mikal's going to drag his man that's on him right now into Ayton a little bit, and then push off of Ayton to get a good release, where he'll catch it just around the top of that free throw circle area, a little bit off to the side. And then what he does afterwards really amazes me. So there's that release right there. He gets off, gets the ball, and here, there is no lane for either him or Ayton to score from where they're at right now. But what Mikal's going to do is he's going to dump it off to Ayton and drag both defenders with him to open up that lane for Ayton. And it's just that kind of awareness and wherewithal in general to know what kind of impact he can have with where he's at on the court. So on this play, there's a bit more going on than it might seem based on the end result. The first thing that's going to happen that's really important, probably crucial to the play even, is DeAndre Ayton right there at the mid-post area is going to come up and set a pick on Mikal's man, giving Mikal an opportunity to get downhill with a head of steam, where he's going to curl around the right side of the mid-range and then get the ball and get his feet in the paint to get a nice little kind of mid-post pull-up. And so here's how that happens. Catches the ball there and comes around. And this is really a shot that I think was going to start going down for Mikal. You know, last season he shot 76% at the rim on 205 attempts, which was in the 93rd percentile as far as efficiency. So this is just a really nice thing to do because it gets him going off the ball and gets him involved. Okay, so here's another play where we get to see a bit of Mikal's playmaking. You can see him up in the right corner, and he's going to come down off of a baseline drive once Payne passes him the ball. And he's going to do something that I really value because of how much it shows that Mikal definitely doesn't have tunnel vision, which is something that we already knew. This just does a really good job of painting that picture for us. So he's going to get the ball and come down on the baseline drive and get that dump off to Payton to a foul on McGee. And it's really important because of that tunnel vision, like I was saying. He doesn't put his head down and just see the rim and nothing else, like someone like Kelly Oubre might have done, or like even Elfrid Payton would have done, who touches the ball on this play. But it's just really nice to see that ball movement, that sort of 0.5 offense, and really true Suns basketball that we all know and love so much. I love this stop frame right here, just because you got Mikal with 4 eyes on him and all the options in the world. He's right at the center of it all. He passes out to Cam Johnson here, but look at it in real time. Just the transition wherewithal to be able to really look off the defense up until the last second. You notice his head when he's in midair. He never turns his head. That pass just goes to Cam Johnson because his eyes are that good. He sees Cam before he even goes up. And that's just so impressive to me. We haven't seen this kind of transition playmaking out of Mikal in years past, but I think that with how good of a transition scorer he is, these kinds of plays really open things up for him and the rest of the offense. So we have another nice little example of Mikal running the secondary break here. He's going to get the pass from Chris Paul into an elbow pull-up. It doesn't go, so he gets the offensive rebound using his length, and then really smart to kind of use that pseudo-moving screen as he's dumping it off to Shamet to free up Shamet enough for that shot. It doesn't go in this time, but that's okay. The process will trump the results every time. Okay, so on this play we have a nice little slip screen by Mikal, and what he's going to do is as soon as he sees that he's on the inside track to the rim, when he gets this seal on Killian Hayes right here, he's just going to slip it and have an open lane because Stewart is too far over to cover that well. And he thinks he gets fouled on that, and who am I to disagree? So on this play we have a nice little give and go action. He gets the ball from Chris, and right as he curls around that screen is the important part of this play. He's obviously able to finish on a nice little cut here, but when we watch it again, we can see that he gives it up, sees the screen, and he knows exactly the kind of timing that he needs to be patient enough to wait for that screen to come in and get Sadiq Bey, and then he's able to shoot the hole, just like a running back would, shoot the gap. So here we have a nice little two-man action inside between Mikal and Ayton. Mikal gets that really nice dump off to Ayton, and Ayton doesn't recognize that he should pass it back soon enough, which causes Jeremy Grant to have time to block it. But as you see, Mikal's putting his hands up like as soon as he should for Ayton to pass it, and I think you can see that right here. Mikal's already putting his hands up. He's got a wide open basket right there if Ayton gets that pass off quick enough, but instead Grant has time to recognize and contest and block the shot. We have another nice little example of that Mikal vision on this play, always keeping his head up and never having tunnel vision to the rim. So once he makes this little drive to the basket, as soon as Hamidou Diallo helps off of Cam Johnson, Mikal knows that that's where the open shot is, and it doesn't go in, but that's okay because the process is good. So here we have a rare occurrence of a Mikal being used as a pick and roll ball handler. So what's going to happen is when Ayton gets a good screen on Cade Cunningham, Mikal's able to use his length to get some nice angles. Trey Lyles doesn't do Detroit any favors here by playing a pretty strong drop coverage, trying to protect against getting Ayton to the rim. But Mikal just does a good job of using his length to finish at the rim. I'd like to see more of him in pick and rolls, to be honest. Here we have a nice little dribble handoff between Mikal and Ayton, and since Detroit switches this and Stewart ends up on Mikal, Stewart has a tough time flipping his hips around quick enough, getting high enough back up to Mikal to contest his shot, and Mikal's able to get a nice little elbow pull-up. So moving on to the Warriors game, where Mikal leaves in the first half from a pinky injury, which, thanks to this reaction from him, seems like it's going to be a lot worse than it ends up being. He comes back later in the game, and he's used a little bit more sparingly, but the signs of the injury are still clear. You can see later on in the game, he kind of fiddles with it here, shakes it around, moves the tape around. It's tough when it's on his shooting hand. So that's what we were dealing with there. But before that injury, we got a nice little play where Mikal's able to attack a closeout because Jordan Poole contains so far to Mikal's left that Mikal's able to go baseline and get that baseline mid-range pull-up. So stuff like this where he's attacking closeouts is just really encouraging for when the team is being trapped with Paul and Booker and they need an outlet. Mikal's able to be that a lot of the time. So here's a nice little opportunity for Mikal to run a secondary break. Doesn't force anything, gets a nice pass out to a good Crowder shot. He's not able to get the follow through because he goes up with his left. I think if he hadn't injured his pinky earlier in the game, he goes up with his right and is able to get that. So here's another one of those few and far between Mikal pick and rolls. He rejects a screen and is still able to get around Poole. And since Looney helps over too much, it leaves Ayton open well under the basket. And 999 times out of 1,000, Ayton finishes that, but he just rushes things. So I think this is a very sustainable play. We're starting to see so much of just a poised Mikal with the ball. So this is one of my favorite plays in the whole package. Mikal gets the ball on a cut and then kicks it out to Crowder. I really don't know how Mikal sees this and how he executes the pass, but he does, and I'm just really impressed with the vision he's showing game in and game out. One more look at it. So on to the Spurs game now. Mikal doesn't do a ton offensively in this game, mostly because of that lingering pinky injury, as well as being tasked with guarding DeJounte Murray and Derek White for a lot of the game, who are pretty tough asks defensively just because of how active they are. But on this play, he gets a solid jab step off the catch that freezes White right here with that jab step to the right, and White is already too far off to be able to contain Mikal because of this Ayton screen, and so Mikal gets around it and gets an elbow pull up. So in this play we have a nice little example of Mikal doing something he doesn't do a lot thanks to his slender frame, where he kind of leans into Keldon Johnson to get some contact and uses his body to shield that defender as well as the help defender Thad Young, and is able to use the reverse finish under the basket and gets it to go. So here's an example of Bridges kind of probing the defense, finding a matchup he likes, tries to throw this lob up to Ayton, but the help defense is there. I think in this case it would have done him some good to throw the pass a little earlier or have a little less air under it. There's just in the air too long for Primo has a chance to go and get it. Here's an example of one of those nice little elbow jumpers that Mikal has been able to get to out of the pick and roll. I think he doesn't quite have his feet under him on this shot, but overall a good play. I wonder if he could have passed it to Ayton, or if Ayton could have taken a wide angle closer to the baseline on a roll, and then that would have been a more successful play. Like right there, there's a lot of room in that corner. So here we have Mikal coming off a little pin down from Crowder and the handoff from Ayton into one of his signature mid-post jumpers. I think what we're seeing here is that there are so many ways that the Suns can involve Mikal in the offense, just off of those pin downs, curls, pick and rolls, cuts. He brings so much to the table, and I think the more that they involve him and the more aggressive that he is himself, the Suns are going to be well off for the future and into the playoffs, and even going forward after that. So that's going to do it for us in this one. Thanks for checking it out. Let me know what you think. You can find me on Twitter at IamDamonAllred. Make sure if you like my stuff that you follow me and keep checking in with what the Suns are doing. Preparing for hopefully another finals run. And we'll have it all for you at brightsideofthesun.com. And yeah, have a good one.